Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you guys like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we have a new poll for 2026 out of Ohio, and Democrats believe that they can run Sherrod Brown and miraculously win the state, which again would not even get them to the level that they're going to need to win the Senate because they need 51. If you get 50, the VP breaks the tie. J.D. Vance would become the 101st senator when it comes to voting on a lot of things, and the Republicans would maintain control of the Senate. So for Democrats to win the Senate, they need to win North Carolina. They need to hold Georgia, hold Michigan, hold New Hampshire. They need to flip Maine, where they can't find a candidate at this moment to save their lives, and even if they did, Susan Collins is somewhat of an electoral juggernaut, kind of a rhino, but it's Maine. They'd have to win all those states, and then they'd have to win Ohio, and they'd have to win Alaska. And they actually think that they can do it, but we have new polling out of Ohio, and early polls in Ohio, by the way, are very, very pro-Democrat historically. We could go back cycle after cycle after cycle. This is from Emerson, and this poll shows Jon Husted, the incumbent senator with appeals to every area of the Republican Party, he's at the magic number, 50%. And Sherrod Brown is down at 44%. And we're going to dive into this a little bit deeper, and we're going to analyze why Democrats just don't have a chance in the state of Ohio or to retake the Senate in general. But first, got to tell you guys really quickly about our great friends over at The Wellness Company. Does your immune system feel compromised ever since COVID? A new study published in the Journal of Clinical Laboratory Analysis suggests you may not be in the clear even if you feel fine. Researchers analyzed blood from people who had recovered from COVID and found something concerning. Their platelets, which are essential for healthy blood clotting, were not functioning properly even months after recovery. Other studies have found lingering spike proteins in the bloodstream and organs, causing immune system dysfunction and even mitochondrial damage, whether from the virus or mRNA shots. This is why Dr. Peter McCullough developed the Ultimate Spike Detox. This doctor-formulated blend includes nattokinase to help break down spike proteins, bromelain to support immune health, and turmeric with black pepper to reduce inflammation and repair cells. Take back control of your health today. Head to twc.health/redeagle and use code REDEAGLE to get 10% off plus free shipping. Again, twc.health/redeagle and use code REDEAGLE to get 10% off. It's time to own your health. All right, guys, so Ohio. If we want to talk about the early polling here, Democrats think that they can run Sherrod Brown and pour hundreds of millions of dollars into this race. I say let them. They're burning money. This is a guy who is not fit for Ohio. You know, he used to be able to pass himself off as like a populist Democrat. The guy's voting record is one of the most liberal in the United States Senate. He's going to have to run a campaign that simultaneously is like, oh yeah, you know, Trump is bad, Husted is bad because he's voting with Trump, but it's such a pro-Trump state that he's going to have to like side with Trump on certain things. It's not going to work. Like, you can't effectively run a campaign. You can't. He's not an incumbent anymore, and the Republican has the incumbency advantage and is well known. And if you want to talk about what's going on with some of these key crucial endorsements that allowed Sherrod Brown to outrun Kamala Harris by a significant amount in 2024, well, now the Building and Construction Trades Council, which was very big for Sherrod Brown, 2018, 2024 even, has now endorsed Jon Husted. Brown is losing his union support. The Democrats' coalition in Ohio is fracturing. Midterm year or not, Ohio is a competent Republican Party that will turn out enough voters to elect Jon Husted, possibly by upper single digits. I think Sherrod Brown is going to lose by more than 5, which means all the tilt R and the lean R and, God forbid, the toss-up narrative can just be thrown in the trash where it belongs. But the early polls, they're showing Husted +6, Husted +3, Husted +6. Okay. And the Husted +3 is YouGov, which has been on a really big leftward like bend for quite some time. But 2022, look at the early polls here. J.D. Vance, he was losing most of them, if not all of them, to Tim Ryan. A lot of these are Democrat polls, and that is true. But even like Emerson, their first poll was only Vance +3, and their poll now is actually Husted +6. So you're seeing a big shift, and usually the polls towards the end of the cycle, they become a little bit more Republican favorable, and that is true in the state of Ohio, but they usually still underestimate the Republicans. And Emerson showed Bernie Moreno trailing by as much as like 5 points in March of 2024, and eventually he ended up going out there and winning, and we know that. And you look at the final result, it was actually Moreno by over 3 points. The most favorable poll to him was Emerson, which gauged the margin of victory for Moreno perfectly. I've also called it. I said Moreno would win by around 4, maybe 3 point something, and Trump would win by 11. And that's pretty much exactly what happened in the state of Ohio. So regardless, Democrats don't have hope. And all the talk about the governor's race too, I was shocked to see this, because Vivek Ramaswamy is actually winning by a wider margin than Husted is winning by. He's not at 50, but he's at 49. Tim Ryan's at 41. And this is what I'm trying to tell people. It doesn't matter who the nominee is. Tim Ryan is damaged goods. Amy Acton is a nobody and not very popular. So as for the gubernatorial primary, I don't really think it's going to matter who wins it. I think Vivek Ramaswamy is going to be favored. There possibly is some things that he could be attacked on. He made a lot of statements that were controversial, insulting working class Americans, possibly. Whether he intended to or not is kind of besides the point, but he's been a little bit quiet lately because I think he understands that the statements that he made were not received very well, but also like possible, things he's done in the past with his drug company or whatever. He'll probably be attacked on those. I still think he's going to end up winning. I think he'll win by, around 5, maybe more than that, just depending on who his opponent is. But if it's Amy Acton, I think he'll beat her fairly easily. I think he'll beat Tim Ryan too. So Ohio, we had this poll. And there's other things in the poll that are very interesting because they polled, I believe, the 2028 nomination too. And J.D. Vance leads the Republican field. It is his home state after all, but he's at 55%, which is huge. And there's plenty of polls from other states showing him winning by a similar margin. Marco Rubio at 9%, Ron DeSantis at 7%, Vivek at 6%, Nikki Haley at 4%. The Democrats, however, are not unified. They're just in disarray. They're scattered all over the place. Gavin Newsom leading with 20% of the vote. Pete Buttigieg at 15%, AOC at 8%. And then you have Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, Kamala, and Bernie Sanders, who is just a dinosaur. I don't believe he is going to run, but he's at 7% in the poll there. So the Democrats don't have a leader, and the Republicans clearly do. And maybe you could say that Vance is a little bit higher because it is his home state or whatever. But at the same time, I think that it's safe to say that he is got at least 50% of the Republican primary vote behind him already. And that just makes sense. And when it comes to Ohio, again, this is a state that has voted for Donald Trump not once, not twice, but 3 times by 8 points or more. It voted for him by 11. It keeps getting redder and redder as the years go by, and it being a midterm year. If anything, I think that you're going to have to ask the question, what voters who voted for Bernie Moreno over Sherrod Brown are going to vote for Sherrod Brown over Jon Husted? I don't see that many of those voters. Definitely turnout could be an issue, but I think that the Trump Brown voter, if anything, would be the most likely voter to probably sit out a midterm, to the point where it's not going to really help the Democrats down ballot in certain places they would need to win Ohio. So regardless, I think that Ohio is going to stay red in the midterms, even if Democrats want to dump their money there or other states. Trump won by more than Ohio, like R+13, R+14 states like Texas, Alaska, Iowa. I mean, they're going to have to. They have to delude themselves into thinking they have a chance, but do they really? I would lean towards no. I think their ceiling for the Senate is probably 48 as it stands now. So we have more news that possibly could be not so good for the Republicans because we have to talk about it, whether we like to talk about it or not, and it may not happen. There is that caveat, but it does seem as if David Schweikert is rumored to run for governor of Arizona. He is a representative from a district that voted narrowly for Biden in 2020 and narrowly for Trump in 2024. The registrations in the state are getting redder. It is a very college-educated district, which means that turnout in the midterms is probably going to be high, and it did seem like a lot of the gains Trump made in that district were from working class voters, so there is that caveat. But David Schweikert outruns Donald Trump usually. He has won. He won in 2022, which wasn't really the best year for Republicans in Arizona. He won in 2024 by a wider margin, and it seems like he may not run for re-election and wants to run for governor, which, again, is very confusing because he would be up against Andy Biggs, who has the Trump endorsement, and Karen Taylor Robson, who got the first Trump endorsement but has fallen way behind in the polls and probably is going to lose to Andy Biggs. So Schweikert would come in third place. Trump is not going to triple up the endorsement, especially as he'd view it as like somebody choosing not to run for re-election and running for governor in a race they are not going to win the primary in. But if he runs for re-election, I think there's a very good chance he would hold on and win. But at the same time, it's like, if not, Democrats have a very good chance at flipping this district. So I hope he makes the right decision. I really do, because this House is going to come down to possibly a few seats, regardless of whatever the states do with their respective maps. You could not even change the map. Very good chance the House could still come down to one seat. And we don't want to be losing ground or giving up seats to the Democrats. So hopefully he makes the right decision. But I will say that for the Senate, the Democrats are definitely a little bit in over their heads. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. Like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below, and I will see you guys in the next one. Red Eagle out.